Hello guys, today I am going to teach you about the menstrual cycle, or we can say the reproductive cycle. Also we can say the ovarian cycle, uterine cycle, because changes occur in the ovaries, uterine tube or uterine uterus. That's why we can say the ovarian cycle, uterine cycle. Now we'll proceed for the next slide. First we'll see the introduction. Menstruation starts at the puberty, mostly at the age of the 12 to 14 years in the female. First menstruation will be called as a menarche. The menstrual cycle will be 28 days. It varies person to person. Sometimes probably from 26 to 30 days are there. One ovum release per 1 month from each ovary. After the ovulation, the ovum lifespan is 12 to 24 hours in the uterus. Now we proceed for the next slide. First we will see the definition. This is a series of events occurring regularly in females every 28 to 29 days throughout the childbearing period of about 36 years. Up to 36 years, there is a period of the childbearing or reproductive period. During that period, there are the series of the events or series of the changes occur regularly in females, probably at 28 to 29 days. A series of the changes taking place concurrently in the ovaries and uterine wall, which is stimulated by the changes of blood concentration of hormone. So there are these many changes or various changes occur in the uterine wall and the ovaries, which is done because of the blood concentration of the hormone. And hormones secreted during the cycle, which is regulated by the negative feedback mechanism. Now see, this is the ovary. This is the primary follicles. First there is a primordial follicles. It is found before the age of puberty. After the puberty, it will become mature. It will convert into the primary follicles, oocytes, secondary follicles, Graafian follicles, and from the Graafian follicle, the ova will be released into the fallopian tube. The end product of the Graafian follicle, that is called as a corpus luteum. Corpus luteum will become mature and then it will be degenerate during the menstruation. So ultimately ovum will be released from the Graafian follicle. Now we'll see what is FSH and LH, the role of FSH and LH. FSH means follicle stimulating hormone and LH is luteinizing hormone. The hypothalamus triggers the luteinizing hormone releasing hormone to the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary will release follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Now FSH is very helpful and essential for the maturation of the ovarian follicles. In the ovary, primary follicles are there, and for the maturation of the follicles, the FSH is very essential. It is the second function of the FSH is secretion of the estrogen, and estrogen is very essential for the ovulation. Now LH. Why LH is essential? LH is very helpful for the ovulation. Now LH will trigger the ovulation and stimulate the development of the corpus luteum, and corpus luteum is very essential for the secretion of progesterone. So these both hormone is very essential. One is a follicle stimulating hormone, second is a luteinizing hormone. Follicle stimulation is essential for the maturation of the ovarian follicles, and estrogen. Estrogen is very essential for the ovulation, and LH is trigger the ovulation. During the ovulation LH will be high, and during the follicle maturation FSH will be high. After the ovulation, corpus luteum is there. So for the support and development of the corpus luteum, luteinizing hormone is very essential, and luteinizing hormone is very essential for the secretion of the progesterone. See, there is the difference between FSH and LH. Now we'll proceed for the next slide. See, this is the phases of the menstrual cycle. There are the 3 phases of the menstrual cycle. First one is the menstrual phase, second one is the follicular stage, and third one is a luteal phase. In some books there is 4 phases: menstrual phase, then follicular phase. During follicular phase there will be a follicles will be developing, then the ovulation phase, then the luteal phase. Okay. Now the average length of the cycle is about 28 days in every woman. Before the ovulation there is a pre-ovulation phase. After the ovulation there is the post-ovulation phase. Now 3 phases are there. First one is a menstrual phase, usually 4 days. Then proliferative phase, usually 10 days. Then the secretory phase. Then this is about the 14 days. Now we'll see regarding the menstrual cycle. See, this is the figure. First, it is a 28-day cycle, day 1 to 28 day. At the day 40, there will be ovulation. Before the ovulation, follicle will become mature. After the ovulation, there will be corpus luteum. Day 1, there will be primary follicles, then it will become secondary follicles, and then it will become Graafian follicles. At day 40, the ova will be released from the Graafian follicles, and then ovum will goes into the fallopian tube. The end product of the Graafian follicle, that is the corpus luteum, it is in yellowish color and it will become mature, then will disappear if fertilization is not occurred. So this is the ovarian cycle or ovarian changes. Now we see the hormones during the menstrual cycle. First, FSH will be high because there is need of the Graafian follicles, and all follicles have to be mature to release the ovum. At the time of the ovulation, before the ovulation, there is surge of LH, and LH is very essential for the ovulation. LH will trigger the ovulation and ova will be released from the Graafian follicles. Then LH and FSH will decrease after the ovulation because there is no need of the follicles to be mature, because no need of the second ova in the uterine tube. Now we'll see, before the ovulation there will be high level of estrogen because estrogen is also essential for the ovulation. There is no role of the progesterone. After the ovulation, progesterone will be high. Why? The role of the progesterone is to maintain and support the uterine wall for the implantation of the zygote or embryo. So progesterone will be increased after the ovulation. Now we'll see the uterine cycle. First phase is a menses, second is a proliferative phase, third one is a secretory phase. First is a menses that lasts 4 days. During that time, the shedding of the endometrium due to the disappearance and degeneration of the corpus luteum. Then there will be a shedding of the uterine wall. It will be menstruation. After the 4 days, there will be a proliferative phase, or we can say the follicular phase. During that phase, there will be some support. It will support the uterine wall for the implantation of the embryo. After the ovulation, there will be secretory phase. This time ovum is relieved, so there is more edematous wall will be there, and the wall will become thicker due to the high progesterone level. So this is the secretory phase or luteal phase. After that, if after the ovulation no any fertilization occur, the shedding of the uterus or shedding of the endometrium will occur. So next cycle will begins. During the ovulation, the body temperature of the female will slightly high and it is measurable. Now we'll proceed for the next slide. The menstrual phase, first one is a menstrual phase. It usually 4 days. When ovum is not fertilized, so corpus luteum start to degenerate, and progesterone estrogen level therefore fall, means decrease, and functional layer of the endometrium is shed during the menstruation. Now, what is the flow? What is content of the menstrual flow? It consists of the secretion from the endometrial glands, endometrial cells, and blood from the degenerating capillaries and unfertilized ovum. So these are the content, and these are the content of the menstrual flow. In the event of pregnancy, if corpus luteum is supported by the HCG secreted by the developing embryo, in pregnancy what happens? Fertilization is there. So zygote is also called embryo. If development of embryo, then embryo will release the human chorionic gonadotropin hormones. So HCG is supported by the corpus luteum. HCG is supported by the corpus luteum. So there will be high progesterone and estrogen level. Also, they will block the release of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Why? To prevent the maturation and release of the another ovum after the ovulation. After the degeneration of corpus luteum, decrease the level of the estrogen and progesterone lead to resume anterior pituitary activity, rising of follicle stimulating hormone, and initiation of the next cycle. So this is the menstrual phase. Now second one is a proliferative phase. It is 10 days. During proliferation, there will be increased follicle stimulating hormone. Why? Because that time follicles will become mature and it grows fast. It also produces the estrogen. Why? For the initiation of the ovulation. This stimulate the proliferation of the functional layer, and the proliferative phase, its name suggests there is a proliferation of functional layer. You already know that the shading of the functional layer is only there. No basal layer is, shading of the basal layer is not there. So it stimulates the proliferation of functional layer of the endometrium for the preparation of the fertilized ovum. The endometrium thicken, very vascular and rich in mucus secreting gland. The high rising level of estrogen are also responsible for triggering a surge of LH. This LH surge trigger the ovulation, and this is the end of the proliferative phase. So during this phase, there will be a proliferation of the functional layer, estrogen level will be high, and LH surge is there, and it will trigger the ovulation. So this is the main. Now we'll see the secretory phase. It is about the 14 days. After the ovulation, luteinizing hormone will slightly decrease. There will be a development of the corpus luteum from the ruptured follicles, and which produce the progesterone and some estrogen. Now more progesterone, the progesterone level will be increased. Why? Because there is need of the implantation of the zygote or embryo. The endometrium becomes very edematous. Secretory glands produce increased amount of watery mucus. Why watery mucus? Because it is very helpful and assists the passage of the spermatozoa through the uterus to the uterine tube. The ovum is usually, because the ovum is usually fertilized in the uterine tube. So there will be necessity for the spermatozoa that have to go into the uterine tube. This is the similar increase in the secretion of the watery mucus by the glands of the uterine tubes and by the cervical glands that lubricate the vagina for easy going of the sperm into the uterine tube. The ovum may survive in the fertilizable form for a very short time after the ovulation, that is the 24 hours. We already learned in previous slide that is ovum lifespan is 24 hours only. So if ovum will fertilize during this time, then it will become zygote. If sperm will not enter during this time, after the 24 hours if sperm will enter, there will be no chances of the fertilization. So ultimately there is a 24 hours lifespan of the ovum. There will be observable changes in the woman's body occur around the time of ovulation. Now we will see which are the changes. First one is generally the cervical mucus is thick and dry, but during the ovulation it becomes thin, elastic, watery, and body temperature rise by a small but measurable amount. Some amount of the body temperature will rise. Some women experience abdominal discomfort or abdominal pain because at that time, due to the rupture of the follicles and release of the ovum into the abdominal cavity. If ovum is not fertilized, the corpus luteum degenerates and dies, and menstruation occurs and a new cycle begins. If fertilization is not there, then what happens? Corpus luteum will become degenerate and new cycle will start. Now we'll see if ovum is fertilized. In the case of pregnancy, what happens? There is no breakdown of the endometrium, no any menstruation, no shedding of endometrium, and no degeneration of the corpus luteum. The fertilized ovum, or we can say zygote, travel through the uterine tube to the uterus, and it is embedded in the uterine wall and produce human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, HCG hormone, which is essential for the growth and development of the zygote. Now, HCG keeps the corpus luteum intact. Why? Because corpus luteum is secrete the progesterone into the uterine tube or uterus. HCG is secreting during 3 to 4 months of pregnancy, and it also inhibits the maturation of further ovarian follicles and further ovum. During that time, placenta develops and produces estrogen as well as the progesterone and gonadotropin. Now, these two hormones is essential for the reproductive system or menstrual cycle, estrogen and progesterone. First we'll see estrogen. It is helpful for the development of the secondary sexual characteristic at puberty, also stimulate and support the thickening of the uterine lining during the proliferative phase, trigger the luteinizing hormone surge, and it triggers the luteinizing hormone surge during the mid-cycle, also stimulate the ovulation. It also stimulates the anterior pituitary secretion of the follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone in first half of cycle. So these are the function of the estrogen. Now we'll see the progesterone. It stimulate and support the thickening and increased glandular development of uterine lining during the secretory phase. Means during the secretory phase, the endometrium will become edematous and thickening of the endometrium. It is done by the progesterone. Also with estrogen inhibit the secretion of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone from anterior pituitary in second half cycle in secretory phase, because there is no need of the further ovum or further follicle. Now we'll see the abnormality of the menstrual cycle. First one is abnormality of the irregular cycles, that is the oligomenorrhea or polymenorrhea. Its name suggests oligomenorrhea, that is the menstruation occurred more than 35 days. Then polymenorrhea, that is the menstruation being done or menstruation cycle, that is the 24 days or less than 24 days menstruation occur, that is the polymenorrhea. Excessive menstruation cycle, excessive menstrual, that is the polymenorrhea. Now the menorrhagia, that is the excess amount of the menstrual blood during the menstrual cycle, during the menstrual phase, that is the menorrhagia. Then metrorrhagia, menstruation occur at irregular interval, that is the metrorrhagia. Then menometrorrhagia, the menstruation occur at irregular interval and the amount and duration will be varies, that is the menometrorrhagia. So these are the abnormalities of the menstrual cycle. Now we see the menopause. What is menopause? Ceasing of the menstruation, that is the menopause. The menopause, it is usually occurs between the age of 45 and 55 years, marking the end of the childbearing period. Means it is the end of the childbearing period, end of the reproductive period, or it is ceasing of the menstruation at the age of 45 to 55 years. It is caused by the progressive reduction in the estrogen level and number of the functional follicles in the ovaries decline with the age. There will be a shrinkage of the ovaries, decreased estrogen and progesterone into the body. So these are the causes of the menopause. The ovaries gradually become less responsive to FSH and LH. Also, there will be no ovulation and menstrual cycle become irregular and eventually ceasing. It will be stopped. So these are the causes of the menstrual cycle, menopause. Now the andropause. It is a condition that is associated with the decrease in the male hormone testosterone. Andropause is same like the menopause, but andropause occur in male and menopause will be in females. So this is the same condition but in male. There will be a reduction or decrease amount of the hormone secretion, that is testosterone. Testosterone, it is a male hormone. So it will be reduced by the age of 50. It is unlike the menopause in that the decreased testosterone and there will be a development of the symptoms is same like the woman, which is occurring in the menopause. Now we'll see there is the symptoms occur in menopause and andropause. So there are some common symptoms. First we'll see that is the mood swing, then depression, low mood, headache, night sweat, sleep disturbance, weight gain, reduce the sex desire, or we can say reduce the libido. So these are the common symptoms. During the menopause, female will feel that is the forgetfulness, hot flashes, heart palpitation, irregular menstrual periods, urine incontinence, vaginal dryness, joint aches and pain. So these are the symptoms in the menopause. Now to symptoms of the andropause, that is the lack of the focus, means attention deficiency, lack of the motivation, decrease the energy, decrease the desire for the physical activity, as well as the muscle tone will decrease, low muscle tone, mild or moderate erectile dysfunction, and body hormone loss. So these are the symptoms in the male during the andropause. Okay, so these are the symptoms of the menopause and andropause. Now if you have any query, you can ask me. Thank you. Hello guys, I have made video for you. This is the educational video as a part of anatomy and physiology. If you like my video, then please subscribe my channel and like the video. Thank you.